Welcome everybody to this week's webinar presented by GoDaddy Pro. Today we're going to be talking about putting your e-commerce marketing on autopilot. We're going to talk about some strategies and some extensions that we can use to let the machines do some of the work for us. So we have to manually manage everything. I'll mention it here in the next part, but we are recording this. So if you do need to hop out at any time or just want to watch this back afterwards, this will be posted back to the email address that you signed up for this that you registered for this webinar for, and we'll send out an email with a link to watch this back afterwards. Usually that's within a day or two, so look out for that in your mailboxes shortly. Welcome. My name is Burnette. I'm on the WooCommerce care team here at GoDaddy. I was part of a marketing agency for 10 years and then joined the care team to focus solely on WooCommerce and WooCommerce extensions. And you'll also find me in some of the WooCommerce communities as well. Today we're going to look at automation, marketing and email automation things. We're going to look at some trends in email marketing and automation. We'll go over some stats and look at some of the opportunities going forward with automation for you or your clients. We'll talk about some strategies specific to e-commerce for marketing automation, things that will help you automate some of the functions of your store a little bit more. And then we'll talk about some extensions as well to help you kind of take that to the next level. Some of those will be for the automation itself, and some of those will just be enhancements to e-commerce to help automate some of the functions. And then at the end, we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. In the chat, there should be a Q&A tab. So feel free to leave any questions that you have in the Q&A tab there, or you can leave them in the chat as well. Keep an eye on that as we go along. And we will take a look at some of those at the end. I keep saying we, because I'm not here by myself. Our expert today is Tabitha Turton, coming to us from the Great White North in Canada. Tabitha is the product manager here at GoDaddy, also focusing on the WooCommerce side. Tabitha, I'll let you tell us a little bit more about yourself as well.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you. I've been with GoDaddy for a little bit now as a product manager. I was previously with SkyVerge and primarily focused on Jilt, which was or is an email marketing service. So I've got a few years of experience within the WooCommerce realm. Definitely enjoy helping folks get the most out of their e-commerce business and finding ways to improve that experience as well.
Awesome. Thank you also for being here. Tabitha knows a whole lot more about email marketing automation and automation in general than I do. So it makes sense for Tabitha to be here to tell us more about these things as we go along. But first, I'm going to start with why automate your marketing, right? I think probably have a little bit of a preconceived notion, but we can look at some of the stats to confirm or validate some of the reasons why you may want to automate your marketing. There's an exponential rise in automation adoption within the last decade, even more so within the last couple of years. Over 51% of companies are already using some form of automation, even if that's at a fairly low level, fairly simple. And 58% of companies, 58% of the remaining companies, plan to adopt it as well within the next few years. And then in 2020, the industry grew amid growing demand from the pandemic, demand for businesses to automate, to just continue being able to engage and retain customers as everyone shifted online and moved online and had to automate some of those processes that they normally handled in different ways. The opportunity here, automation spending is set to grow rapidly, reaching over 25 billion annually in the next couple of years. And that's up from less than half of that just a few years ago. So money is being poured into this market. New tools are coming along all the time. There's an opportunity to jump on and use some of these new tools and new features. 64% of e-commerce marketers say that email marketing and automation contribute to increased sales over time. That's just, essentially 2/3 of marketers can vouch for the fact that automation does work. Just the sooner you start, the better that it will be down the line. And 20% of agencies shared that finding tools is the #1 marketing automation challenge. As far as effective automation, in 2021, context is increasingly the driving force. Personalization, custom emails, making sure that that you're speaking to customers in the terms that they want to hear, that they're used to, about products that they care about services that they care about. Personalized content will be the key ingredient in brands' retention efforts. So again, the same thing, making sure that your emails are very targeted to the individual customers. Tabitha, is anything there that kind of jumps out at you as you look at some of those numbers and facts?
Yeah, I think that what's interesting, email's been around for over 40 years now, and it has this lasting power. It continues to be the #1 way to reach your customers, and it's definitely reflected there in the opportunity set that you shared with nearly 2/3 of marketers saying that that's what they're using to see increased sales over time. I think what's really interesting is that when I do speak with merchants and developers, agencies, when they're looking for that tooling, that ends up being kind of the most difficult part of the job. It's not necessarily the setup, because what's great with automation is once it's set up, it's just good to go. It's finding the right tools. And so pretty stoked to be here today so that we can chat about getting those tools for you, like what we would recommend, what's out there, what's available, and some strategies for setting those up.
Yeah, 100%. We definitely want to make sure that we can take care of that 20%. I feel like that 20% to me personally, from having been in a marketing agency, that seems low. There are so many tools out there, finding the right ones and knowing exactly what to do with them, or which one is the right tool for the job, is extremely difficult. And that is exactly what we're here to talk about today. So with that, we are going to start with a number of strategies. These strategies all kind of focus around one particular extension to start with here, and that is Automate Woo. So we'll jump into there. I just wanted to note here before we get too far in again, just if you have any questions, please feel free to leave those in the Q&A tab, and we will take a look at those at the end. So Automate Woo, what does Automate Woo do? What is it? Automate Woo is an extension for WooCommerce that, among other things, sends automated emails, including the ones listed here, abandoned cart emails, win-backs, and a bunch more. Tabitha, why would somebody want to use Automate Woo? And we'll get into some of the more specifics in the next few slides, but more generally, why would you go with something like Automate Woo versus anything else really for WooCommerce?
Right. Well, it's such a comprehensive tool. So you're able to automate both your email marketing with the tool, plus send other things as well. So that's what's really neat. But when it comes to the email marketing, if we take a look at what they can do with that, you're able to set up all sorts of different workflows that rely on these triggers, rules, and actions. So it means that you can basically trigger an email for any sort of purchase event and define that, add a rule to it. So let's say if someone placed an order that was over $100, then you could trigger off the specific email or set of emails to go out. So, and like we looked at just in that previous slide, segmentation and targeted messaging is really important. And so this allows you to set up workflows for every step within the checkout experience, within order fulfillment, Plus, you can do more things. You can send SMS messages. You can change the order status within the WooCommerce admin. And you can also, like, if you're working with a developer or you're pretty tech savvy, you like digging into code, you can also define like custom functions with this plugin as well. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's really versatile. I think I've heard it referred to by one of our colleagues as the Swiss Army knife for WooCommerce features, and I think that's a pretty accurate description. Emails is certainly a large part of it, but it does all sorts of other things. Basically a trigger action system for all sorts of different functionality. I see Lynn is asking if there are supposed to be slides. Yes, there are slides. Let us know if you're... All right, it looks like not everyone is missing the slides, so we'll keep going, and hopefully Lynn will be able to see the slides here. Yeah, moving into some of the... We're going to go into strategy here from this one and talk about some of the different email automation avenues, opportunities there are. Automate Woo being a great way to handle a lot of these, but we'll jump into the first one here, which is the cart recovery emails. Cart recovery emails encourage customers to come back to your site and complete the purchase that they had already started. Tabitha, how is this helpful for store owners and automating some of these processes of getting customers back?
Right. Well, if we take a look there at the stats, there's some compelling reasons for why you want to set up a cart recovery email campaign. And that's first being that about 70% of all carts online end up being abandoned. So that's revenue that's just sitting out there that you can reclaim by sending out a set of reminders. And it generally, with a really like performant campaign, you're able to recover 15% or more of abandoned carts. I've worked with some merchants where we've been able to push that number up into the 20s, and it's been just awesome to work on little tweaks. It's all about getting the right subject line, content, and call to action, and timing. So I would recommend using a 3 email campaign and focusing on the timing first, making sure that first email goes out within an hour of abandonment. And with a couple caveats, like if you're selling high-end luxury goods, you probably want to give your customers more time to make that decision because it's going to be a big purchase. If it's like an in-ground pool or some sort of collectible watch, then you probably want to hold off for a day or two, or at least a few hours. If it's a digital good, you'd want to send the email even more quickly, like within 20 or 30 minutes after the abandonment, just because it's on someone's mind. It's usually like a lower cost sort of investment, and you want to get them while they're still or online to complete the purchase. This is a nice example here too with this email where you've got the contents of the cart and you've got a clear call to action there with the button, and that's going to take them back to their cart so that they can complete the purchase, because you want to reduce friction too. So you wouldn't want them to have to rebuild or make be confused about what they had added in there. It's just all about getting them swiftly through that checkout. And I did want to mention too, when it comes to recovery emails, you will typically earn like $4.80 per email sent. That isn't per conversion. It's per every email that you're sending. You're going to generate that sort of revenue. So if the one thing I would recommend after this webinar is that if you're thinking, okay, I need to get one campaign set up, this is the one to set up right away.
Yeah, I've seen the number in a few different places now, and I still can't get over the fact that 70% are abandoned, and that's just money left on the table. If you just let that be what it is, then that's just gone possibly. Even like you said, it can be even higher than 15%, but even getting 15% back, just doing, do the math with your store, I guess, right? If you take a 15% of 70% of your orders and then multiply that times the, for almost $5, I mean, there's a substantial chunk of change that's there up for grabs, and all you have to do is really set this automation up. There's not a whole lot of extra work to it, right? The site will do the work for you. So I think that's huge. I'm always boggled by that number and just how much money is left on the table sometimes.
Yeah. Exactly. And this is just sitting out there. So it's definitely worth setting up, letting the robots do the work for you.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, semi-related is the win-back email, right? Win-back emails re-engage inactive customers to generate repeat purchases. So if someone's, purchased in the past, getting them to come back again. What are some reasons, or why would a store owner want to set up a win-back email campaign?
Right. Yeah, and I think that first point there, that repeat customers are 9 times more likely to convert than new customers, is a really compelling reason to set something like this up. Repeat customers also generate 5 to 7 times the revenue per visit as average shoppers. So if you can get them back to your store, you've got a good chance of being able to convert them into like a repeat customer, getting them interested in other items that are on your store. They're also already familiar with your order fulfillment process, and hopefully that was like, a really great experience from the get-go. And they'll if so, then they're going to want to do continued business with you. So something like a win-back email is an opportunity to get someone back to your store if they haven't shopped with you in a while. You'd want to look at like how often you engage with your customers, how often they buy products, and the type of products that you sell to kind of understand the best timing for it. In general, you can aim for like a 3-month wait. So like if it's been 3 months since the last time that they placed an order, it may be time to like follow up with them. However, if you like stock products that tend to like need a refill or be restocked within, let's say, 30 days, perhaps it's some sort of nutritional supplement, you might want to think about sending a win-back email 2 months after their last purchase, just as a nice little nudge. And you can set it up as a 2 or 3 email sequence and make them an offer. Like it could be some sort of special discount or free shipping. Maybe mention that they'd be joining an elite group or have access to a specific membership with your store. And you can also highlight products. And this is a great opportunity for segmentation as well. Let's say if the last time they purchased from you, they were interested in a certain line of cosmetics, then you can mention these are the newest items in that line that we've added to the store, or you might like to check out this other line that's similar. So then you already have some of their interests data, and you could target it towards what you know about them and what they like to buy.
Yeah, this is like the low-hanging fruit, right? Assuming that you did your job the first time and you communicated well and you said, produced, fulfilled, whatever, gave a product that that they liked, that they were happy with, then there's no reason why they wouldn't re-engage and want to order from you again. That's going to be much easier of an ask than trying to reach out to new customers. Obviously you got to do both, but this is going to be a much lower barrier to getting folks back to your store. The repeat customers are 9 times more likely to convert than new customers. I mean, that's a huge number, and that seems like a no-brainer to target that group as well.
Yeah.
The next one is order confirmations. Order confirmations is something that I assume all stores are already sending out. So what would you do with an order confirmation to put it in this bucket of automation? What would you do to make it work for you?
Well, the great thing is if you're using WooCommerce, this is already available. So It's just a matter of ensuring it's got the information that you want in there, and that it hasn't been disabled. So I think it's typically enabled by default. But it's really worth ensuring that it gets out because it is so well read. Like your customers are looking for this email. They want to, especially first-time customers, they want to ensure that they're going to receive, timely communication along the whole fulfillment process. And we typically see like a 60% open rate with this first email. So it's even an opportunity then to include a little bit of promotional content. I would add that when it comes to including promotions within a transactional email, you don't want it to take over and become the focus of the email. It's really important that you have all of the order information that's there. That's going to be useful information for your customer, and it sets the right sort of expectations as to like when they can expect the next follow-up and when their item is typically shipped. But if you are interested in adding some sort of promotion or like an upsell or cross sell, that is typically allowed depending on your location. So, like for instance, within North America, you can include a little bit of promotional content. It just can't take over the main focus. I think it's about 20%, but there isn't. Don't quote me on that. Definitely check with your local spam or marketing legislation to make sure that you can include it. So let me get that out of the way and then say if it is something that is allowed within your area, check it out by adding like a little content. Let's say if someone bought a key fob and that's all that they ordered, it would be an opportunity to let them know, like, hey, most folks probably sometimes will need a battery replacement in X amount of time. Why not pick this one up? Or if it's been some sort of cosmetic and they didn't have any sort of applicator within the order, then you could add that in as a little cross sell. So there's a lot of opportunity there to get eyes on it since it has such a healthy open rate, versus the closer, less than 20% open rate when it comes to newsletters and whatnot. So, but yeah, if you can work it in, that can be really useful.
Yeah, we'll touch on a couple of ways to get those things into the cart before checkout, but I love this idea of piggybacking off of something that's already happening for the majority of store owners, that this email is already going out. It's already providing valuable information. It's most likely already being opened by folks. So why not take that opportunity to add, in terms of from the customer side, you're adding value, especially if, like you said, you're providing some information about, you ordered this thing, but you're going to need this later on down the road. You're actually, being helpful there and providing value and not just randomly picking some other thing to tell them that they should purchase. So I love that there's an extra point here to sort of piggyback off of something that's already happening for most everyone. Along a similar, we'll get there. The feedback request is another way that you can to find out a little bit more about the customer experience, and in some cases be able to make offers there as well. What do you think makes a valuable feedback request both for the customer and for the store owner?
Well, I think, and this could be my own bias because I do speak to our own customers a lot, and I find it so valuable. Whether it's positive or negative, it's always an opportunity to either lean into what you're doing well and do it even better, or learn, like what you could improve. And go from there. So this is perfect. This opens it up, right? Like if you can create that dialogue with your customers, you can find out like if it was something negative in the report, they didn't have a great experience. It's an opportunity for you to make it right, and to retain that customer and possibly turn them into an evangelist so that they're telling their friends and family and bringing more folks back to your store. And if it did go well, then it's an opportunity to to thank them, and to also maybe ask them to perform a little action. Maybe they could leave a review on your site around your business listing, something that is a small ask that it likely wouldn't turn down, and it's an opportunity to improve your social presence even further. The social proof is so important to get to increasing your traffic.
Yeah, that's very much like the last bullet here, right? Even if this doesn't directly lead to another purchase right away, in terms of offering a discount or something like that for an experience, right? The feedback data is just as valuable. You get that potential into another order, but even if it doesn't, you still gain some valuable information about what went well, what didn't go as well, and ways that you can make some changes, make some improvements, or double down on things that were working well already.
Yeah.
All right, moving along to welcome emails. So welcome emails are emails that customers would get usually right after the first purchase. There's a huge stat there at the beginning on the welcome emails, but what would you say makes a helpful, a valuable welcome email for a customer?
Right. Yeah. Well, you definitely want a catchy subject line. Although, given that we see over 91% open rate, generally, you just want to make sure that it's setting the right sort of tone and reflects the personality of your company. But you're pretty much guaranteed that anyone's going to open it because they're excited, right? They've signed up with you, so they want to get the emails from you. They're looking forward to getting this first welcome email. So it's a really great way to lay a foundation for this developing relationship that you're going to have with someone. So you'd want the email to reflect that personality of your brand, get them excited about the future communication that they'll receive from you. It's an opportunity to share a discount that gets them back to your store because perhaps they haven't made their first purchase yet. And if you can set this, nurture this relationship, like we mentioned here on this, oh my gosh, I'm blanking the screen.
Yes.
Loyal customers are more likely to refer you, they're more likely to buy from you, and to try new products. So this is all about starting that relationship off, right? Generally, a drip campaign does really well, so you can break it into small content. No one wants to read like an essay of an email. This isn't really, it's not a sales sort of pitch. It's a friendly sort of hello to get them back to your store and to also introduce you as a company. So you can share a bit about your ethos, like if there are any sort of things that set you apart from your competitors. Perhaps you work with specific, stuff that makes products. so eco-friendly, elements that that would appeal to your customers that are really green focused, for example. And then sharing a promo at some point within that drip sequence. You can also share a bit of your expertise. So this is an opportunity to provide some informational content. Let's say if you're selling area rugs, then it would be, you could share how to maintain or care for certain throw rugs or certain wool versus polyester. I'm still blanking on what that is. I don't know why. And then ask them about their interests. You could find out what they want to hear about from you. You could collect their birthday information too to then send them a surprise gift or discount when that date rolls around, which can also be done with Automate Woo, which is cool.
Yep. I think the word you might be looking for is materials.
Thank you.
Also,
yes.
Screen and or slide or backlit rectangle will all work as well. I like that this email is a way to kind of establish that brand recognition and trust. So future emails as they come in, They look the same. They have the same logo, header, and stuff. You know the company, right? You've already made that connection through these, either the one welcome email or a drip campaign of welcome emails to start off. You've already built that trust and built that recognition. So future emails will have a higher open rate, higher conversion rates, and all that because of it.
Exactly.
And then the last kind of strategy one here is newsletter emails. While these are generally a bit less personalized, they still provide the store a great way to get out product updates and new feature announcements and that sort of thing. Yeah, what else? Why else would you want to use newsletter emails, I guess? And then how would you determine sort of the content and how often these should be sent out?
Yeah. Well, newsletters, if you're collecting or growing a list, you've got like some sort of subscribe form on your site, it means that people want to hear from you once they've submitted their email. So this, you definitely want to send them information because they want to receive it. So you can send sale announcements, informational sort of content, and product info, and set up a cadence for it. That's, I think, the number one thing is to figure out how often you want to send out these emails. And it has to do with perhaps like your customers, what they would expect, what your competitors are doing, but also what sort of bandwidth you have for it. Because newsletters do take a little bit more time than the other automations that we've looked at. This isn't just to set it up and forget it. You will need to come up with custom content and imagery, and then of course schedule it, because it isn't going to just get automated based on some sort of customer action. But you can take an afternoon or a day to set up a few months of content and schedule it out. So there is that, which is really helpful. And there are services that help you with that. So there's, for instance, MailChimp or Klaviyo. Here at GoDaddy, we have our GoDaddy email marketing, which can also provide templates and you can schedule it. So it does take some of that load off. And I feel like I did see something about using SMTP earlier.
Yeah,
and,
one of the questions in the Q&A.
And it's definitely
yeah, Line, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Line asked, when it comes to sending out emails, do you prefer a specific SMTP email service or the default hosting one for faster, reliable sending?
Yeah, it depends on your volume. So I think that's one of the things that you need to look at. Let's say if you have a contact list that is growing and it's perhaps a couple thousand members and you're sending out on a regular basis, you're going to want to most likely use a service that's going to handle a lot of the domain sending reputation for you. Because if you're doing that on your site directly, it can be its own job. Making sure that you're hitting the inbox, that you're not getting relegated. Although it's not such a concern to go into something like a marketing folder, but it is a concern if you're getting directly into spam. So there can be services that are required that you can use to monitor that. But then that adds, that's just another task on your already busy schedule and your busy to-do list as a business owner. So I would recommend going with a service that's going to take care of that for you. And you'll benefit then from more reliable deliverability, and you won't have to, kind of like hunt down why all of a sudden with Outlook.com I'm always going to the spam. What's happened here? And that can take a lot of time. So definitely go with the service, and then for the actual, I feel like I haven't covered everything. So we're talking about Cadence content. So I would switch that up with like news, not only selling or sending sales announcements, because that can get really repetitive and it just, you feel like you are just wanting something from the customer. You want to also provide them some value. So sharing your expertise and and sending them something that's targeted too, because segmented emails can bring in, gosh, I pulled this number up, it was 760% more revenue than non-segmented emails. So, and they also outperform on other metrics. That's because you're targeting it to a specific audience, and you're playing off of what you already know about them and their interests. So again, like if someone has ordered running shoes from you in the past, and you're going to you have an upcoming sale on running shoes, those are the folks that you definitely want to focus on and send this email to. You might also expand that a little and go to anyone that has ever bought anything that is like some sort of outdoor gear or exercise gear. But you wouldn't necessarily send it to everyone if you're an apparel store that also has like high heels and baseball caps. Like it might not appeal to everyone. So the more targeted you can get, the better performance you're going to see.
Yeah, that goes back to the earlier slide where, you know, in 2021, folks are expecting more personalized emails, right? If it looks like what you're sending out is more generic, people might glance at it, right? But they know it's not speaking directly to them. There's a higher likelihood of them either ignoring it completely or deleting it pretty quickly. So the more that you can sort of target these to specific, you know, groups based on their purchases or, you know, interests or whatever, the higher chance you have of the open rate and conversion rate on those as well. I think the only one you didn't touch on there quite yet is the cadence. Is there a specific pattern to how often these should be sent out?
Yeah, there's no hard and fast rule because it does come down to like what sort of bandwidth you have to manage all of this. But once you have set up your cadence, you want to stick to it because your subscribers will have an expectation. So let's say you could do like a Friday deal, and so every Friday you send out a deal. You wouldn't want to miss one because your subscribers end up looking forward to that email. And, you know, let's say if on Sunday you're sending out some sort of informational content where you're celebrating something within the industry, you're sharing a little bit of expertise, you would, if you decide that that's the day that you're going to send that, or maybe it's like every Sunday, last Sunday of the month, stick to it and send that out every Sunday. Some businesses can go for like a daily email, especially if you're like a content generator. So your customers have signed up with you because they're expecting some sort of daily digest. Some larger companies might also adopt like a daily or even like 5 times a week sort of email cadence. But generally for growing e-commerce businesses, we found that like 1 to 3 broadcast emails a week is kind of the sweet spot. And you can go, you know, fewer than that as long as you just maintain that consistency.
Yeah, I think you hit it. Like usually when someone asks me about email newsletter cadence, my answer is usually just setting the right expectation, right? There isn't necessarily the right answer other than set the correct expectations with your customers so you're not sending a daily email when they're expecting you to send them once a week or once a month, or vice versa. So a matter of setting those expectations up front. What did they sign up for? And make sure that you can meet those expectations as well.
Yeah.
All right. We are out of the email section for now, and we are going to switch into talking about some more extensions. Some of these are going to be related to those emails specifically, and some of them will not be. Some of them will just be other ways to kind of automate some of your sales and marketing experience throughout your site. I do see that there are a couple of questions in the Q&A section, but again, if you have any questions as we go through this section, please make sure that you leave those there, and we will make sure to leave some time here at the end to answer some of your questions. So without further ado, we'll just get right into the extensions. And the first one we have up here is Cart Notices. Cart Notices allows you to add messages, actionable messages to your customers in the cart. What sort of things would you use this for as a store owner, Tabitha?
Yeah, well, the first example there is great with using it to mention the free shipping option. So, and what's cool is it can be dynamic content. So we're playing off of what's already in their cart. We're letting them know if you just top up another $15, you're going to meet the free shipping requirement. And I know I personally do that all the time because in Canada, shipping is expensive. And so I do whatever I can to get free shipping.
Yeah, do the math to see whether
right?
or not buying another item is cheaper than paying for the shipping.
Yeah. Spend money to save money. And then you can also create urgency. So if, let's say, there's a sale ending at midnight, let them know about it. You make sure to place this order before midnight so that you get that 20% off. It can also be if there's a cutoff time for when you're able to ship out an order during the day. So let's say you need to have your orders in by noon to be able to fulfill them that day. Let them know. So, like as long as you order within the next 3 hours, it's going to ship today. And that can be really effective too for creating that urgency. You could also include cross-sell notices here. So, and that can be targeted to specifically what they have in their cart or the category that they've added an item from. So here, like, why not get a baseball cap to match this hoodie? You could actually put that in as a message and it'll be targeted to anyone that has added that Happy Ninja hoodie to their cart. And you can also appreciate like loyalty and anyone that is coming to you or being redirected to your store from somewhere else, just to like share some sort of welcome message with them. So like, hey, Google shopper, welcome to my site. That is doable, and you can even set the call to action button there in the notice to go to like a specific landing page and share a promo with them there.
I'm sold. Any store that will tell me that I should add a baseball cap to my cart, I'm in. I will buy the cap.
Thanks.
Yeah, moving on to the next one is Followups. This is one that I think we added in here as another option, but you wouldn't necessarily use this in conjunction with Automate Woo. Followups allows you to automatically email or tweet some follow-up messages when an order is placed or status changes. Is there a scenario where you might use Followups instead of Automate Woo?
If you're looking for kind of a lighter, less, what did I say, taxing? So I don't, Automate Woo isn't it's not going to, slow down your site. It's not heavy, but it's a simplified version of Automate Woo. So, and the Twitter feature could be compelling. That is something that isn't available in Automate Woo. And if you have fewer integrations that you're looking to kind of incorporate with your emails too, you might just want to focus on like Sensei, and it's really cool what you can do with the Sensei emails with this with follow-ups. So there are some options there. I am intrigued by the Twitter feature. I was looking into it because it's not something that I've used or worked with merchants who've used it, and so I was thinking that maybe it could be useful for customer service in terms of like you hear from someone that wants to be notified by tweet every step of the way, because you can send it based out on like order status changes. I'd love to know if anyone has ever done this though, because it's definitely not common from what I've seen.
Yeah, no, same here. I would be quite interested to see stores that are tweeting to their store accounts based on order statuses within the store. I look at this as like the regular knife to the Swiss Army knife. Like it's still gonna do the thing that you're looking for it to do, but it doesn't necessarily come with all the other bells and whistles. And if you don't need all of those things, then this might be perfect for you.
Right.
Then we have WooCommerce Product Reviews Pro, which allows you to add professional level reviews to your store with, longer descriptions, some ratings stuff, photos, namely, and the ability to filter filter reviews by some content as well. Why would this be helpful, you think, for a store in terms of looping back to that automation focus?
Yeah, well, you're basically having your customers do the work for you in a sense. If you do need to curate the content that they provide, or you can opt to curate it at least. But social proof is really important. It's so important to have uh, a mix of reviews. They don't all need to be glowing because some folks might question that. We can see that there's been a bit of a, an uproar about a certain very large e-commerce platform, and folks on there soliciting like positive reviews, paying for them. So if there's some 4-star, 3-star, that's actually good. That lends itself to being more authentic. And I really like this plugin because your customers can submit content. So they can submit a photo, they can submit video, and that can be really useful when making a purchase decision. What does this item look like in different types of light? They can also, you can open it up so that when a review is submitted, they can fill out some meta information about them, like the size that they ordered, the type of fit that they found with it. Is it true fit, or does it fit a little large, a little small? And that can be really effective because as another shopper coming along, you want to hear firsthand, like, what should I expect? And as for you as a merchant, this can be helpful in avoiding those returns that really, eat into your revenue, eat into your time, and can create like a negative experience for some customers. So it's these reviews are really doing a lot of that heavy lifting for you as well.
Yeah, this is a little bit less in terms of automation from the site, but you're still handing some of the work of selling your products over to something else, to your customers. They're gonna come back. They're gonna do that work for you. They're going to describe your product possibly in ways you haven't thought of, which could be good or bad. That's where the moderation comes in. But either way, that content's going to be valuable. It's going to be valuable to other customers coming to the site. It's going to be valuable for search engines. That adds more content to these product listings for search engines to pick up on as well. And all of that is, content you didn't have to add to the site. It was added elsewhere or by your customers, and in that sense, it takes some of the workload off your plate as a store owner. Next one, we have cart add-ons, which we alluded to earlier a little bit with the checkout, the order confirmation emails, being able to add some upsells there. But cart add-ons allows you to add upsells based on products in the cart while the customer is on the cart page. How would that be helpful for store owners and customers?
Yeah, well, this is an opportunity to recommend bundles. For instance, if you've noticed that some customers like to purchase, when they purchase product A, they tend to purchase product B, like we see here with this combination. And that can, of course, increase the cart value. And we've seen that related product recommendations contribute to that 30% of e-commerce sales. So this is the time to call that out for your customers. You can promote complimentary items, accessories that would go with what they already have in the cart, similar products. And so it's pretty straightforward, and it's just a great way to increase that cart value for your customer.
Yep, awesome. And the next one is similar. We are running up on time here, so we'll go through them relatively quickly, I guess. But WooCommerce checkout add-ons, very similar to cart add-ons, but on the checkout page. What can you tell us about having more of these on the checkout page in addition to or instead of the cart?
Yeah, it is a nice little boost. So it's not quite as effective as the recovery emails where you're getting that 15% recovered. You see a 4% of customers that will buy an upsell. And so it's just, it adds up over the course of a year with time. It can be paid or free too. So it's an opportunity for your customers to like add a gift message if they're getting something for a friend or family member. Then they could opt in for gift wrapping, add a bow. You could break it down, to each item within like some sort of gift wrapping package. Also add some sort of delivery insurance. That could be a donation towards a cause. You could try tipping, which would be like, let us know how that goes. That could be, something that works out. But why not try? Like, this is a really great spot to experiment with what little add-ons might work with your customers and what your customers enjoy, like being able to add to their order.
Yeah, as again with all of these other things, right? It's one of those where you set it up and then you let it work for you. So 4% of customers is great. And if it takes you hardly any effort at all to add a couple of options there on the checkout, then, that's probably worth it still, right?
Yeah.
URL coupons is the next one we have. And this allows you to add a unique URL to a coupon code, so that you can share that link and the coupon code will automatically be applied. How is, I don't know, what would you do with URL coupon codes here how does that work in terms of automation as well?
Yeah. Well, you're able to share a link directly with your customer, so that you could just add it to some of your social channels even. Or if you've got like a YouTube channel, you could add it there. And it's just going to take the customer. It's more so you're automating this for the customer because you're just sharing a link, and then it's going to take them back to your store. It can automatically add an item to their cart, which saves them having to do it manually. And also it's ensuring that you're getting that item in their cart. So, they get a little bit more not drawn to it, but committed to the purchase. And so you're removing that steps of friction there. They don't have to manually enter the coupon code, and that can be really effective because we want to break down all friction as much as possible to get them to the checkout. What's also neat with this plugin is that you can hide the coupon fields that are there by default on the cart and checkout page, and that can those coupon code boxes have been proven to decrease conversion rates. So by removing them, you won't have customers necessarily noticing an empty field, being like, hey, why don't I have a coupon code for this? And then going on a hunt where they might stumble across a competitor and decide to purchase with them because they found a discount or they found a cheaper price. So by hiding that, it can retain those customers on your store for longer.
Yeah, there's very little for them to do really once the coupon code has been applied and the product's in their cart and they're at the at the cart level. It's just check out and be done. So streamlines the checkout process quite a bit. I think we just have a couple more. I think email customizer allows you to customize the designs of your emails that the customers receive. It looks like we have a couple of reasons why it's useful here. Tabitha, do you want to touch on those real quick?
Yeah, emails in WooCommerce, they're hard. They're really hard to modify. That's the truth. And so with this, you can at least modify like the header, the body, some of the content to reflect your brand. And that's going to help your customers more quickly recognize, the email, who it's coming from. So if you can add your logo to the top or some sort of image, and have it using your brand colors as opposed to just the default, that can be really effective. That's a nice visual signal, like, oh, hey, this is, store X. I love them. Let me see what they're sending me. And we typically see an increase in sales when there are these like personalized experiences, when it's not just some sort of generic, email or content that's being sent to them. Plus, I personally like that you can send a test email with this, which isn't doable otherwise. So, because you want to see how it looks. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very helpful. We have second to last, I think. Twilio SMS allows you to send SMS updates to customers and store administrators. Yeah, there's another large number there in the 90% plus. Why is this helpful for both stores and for customers?
Yeah, well, some customers just really prefer getting their updates on the phone. I found it's typical within Europe specifically. And I would imagine, like we're just a little bit slower on the trend, and so it will come over this way. I also found the same thing when I was in Asia. I got like SMS texts from all sorts of companies where I had set up accounts with them while I was staying there. So it can be really useful. You're opening that right away. You're seeing it immediately. And it, depending on your location, so this is the same sort of caveat as I mentioned with the transactional emails, you may be able to include some promotional material within the texts. And so you just need to check with the local regulation. But just remember, if you are to include a CTA, like a call to action, so that you ask them to do something. So if you don't ask, they're not going to do it, and you just get them back to your store.
Yeah, best case scenario there, you couple it with URL coupons, and that takes them straight into the store, applies the coupon, maybe even adds a product to the cart.
Exactly.
You start the cycle all over again.
Yeah.
And then the final one we have here is WooCommerce Google Analytics Pro, which allows you to basically supercharge your Google Analytics with more WooCommerce, commerce-specific analytics like average order value, conversion rate, sales, and more. What would you use this for within the context of making changes to your site, improvements, enhancements, automating reporting, and that sort of thing?
That's a lot.
Yes. Well,
so you would use different reports for that.
Yeah. Lump them together in an answer, not necessarily
right?
Exactly one of those.
So yeah, this is like with how this fits into automation is that it's automating that collection of data for you, and data is so useful. It's crucial for making those good decisions about what you should do to tweak or improve your site and experience. And so you can set up checkout funnels and see where people are dropping off. You can collect data about like purchase intent. So there are a lot of data, like metrics, that you can go to here once you've incorporated it with your store to see like where are the red flags, and then dig into that data to figure out how to improve it. If people always drop off this one step in your checkout flow, what's happening there? Maybe run through it yourself and see if there's some sort of technical challenge or issue that you could fix, or just even better, like language. Maybe something's confusing. So without collecting data, you won't be able to really understand what is and isn't working. And it's not always reflected in your revenue. It can be really in the activity on the site itself.
Yeah, I would say the automated part here is that you can set up goals within analytics, so you can find out and let analytics do the heavy lifting of figuring out like where folks are dropping off and why goals aren't being met. Where's the disconnect, where's the roadblock, and be able to let Google Analytics just give you that information so you can go in and make some of those changes. All right, and that is it for the strategy and extensions portion. We are at time, so thanks for sticking in there with us through all of that. We will look at a couple of Q&As, but you're not going to hurt our feelings if you have to drop off, because I know, like I said, we are at time, and this will be recorded, so you can check back in on it here. But I am going to hop over to the Q&A tab real quick, and we'll look at, there are a couple in here we'll take a look at and see if we can answer these. Looks like they're all from line, but we'll start with the first one. Will this be using all free WooCommerce plugins offered in WooCommerce WordPress shared hosting package? These are not all free, but I will in a moment get to where you can get all of them sort of together in one package as well. So hang in there with me, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Will the slides of this presentation be available as Google Slides doc? I can hardly read the small print. I don't know whether or not the slides will be available or not. I will try to make them available, but we will certainly share the links for all of these in the notes on the events page, and you'll get notified via email that that is live and ready for you to see. So hopefully you'll be able to just sort of click through from there. And then what WooCommerce extension allows you to put cross-sells in the emailed order confirmation receipts? I think we touched on it a little bit, but Tabitha, do you have any additional insight on adding cross-sells, upsells, any of that into the order confirmations?
Yeah, I believe you can do something with Automate Woo, and there are some short codes that you can use that are provided by a different plugin, related products, upsells, cross-sells. So with that, it can generate cross-sell products for you, and then you just drop in the short code, and you'd be able to include that within the receipt.
Awesome. Let's see. Let me scan back up the chat real quick just in case we had any others. Doesn't look like we have any others in there. So, well, relatively short Q&A session. If anybody has any other questions, they can ask them through a number of ways. Contact form on the GoDaddy events page. You can reach out to GoDaddy Pro on Twitter as well. We can answer questions there. Or the Skyverge team at Skyverge and at GoDaddy Pro. But we will go ahead and wrap up here since we are over time by a couple of minutes. Yeah, so getting back to Line's other question about the plugins. Each of the plugins can be purchased on WooCommerce.com. I believe that the pricing for those was on each of the slides as well. We do have GoDaddy's managed WordPress e-commerce hosting that does include all of the plugins that we mentioned in the session today. So take a look at that. It includes all of the plugins, over 75 free and premium WooCommerce plugins, free SSL, free domain, and expert WooCommerce help. And you can take a look at that as well. But thank you, Tabitha, for joining me and chatting about automation and emails and all of those goodies. Yeah, appreciate you joining me and hanging out for the last hour or so.
It's been great. Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining us as well.
Yep. Thank you also, everyone, for hanging out for the last hour. Hopefully that was helpful and you got some new strategies and extensions out of that as well. And make sure we do these meetups and webinars frequently. Make sure that you go to the GoDaddy Pro events. I think it's just godaddy.com/events. Register for more of these, and I'm sure that you'll be seeing more of myself and Tabitha on future ones of these as well. Make sure you check us out there, and at youtube.com/GoDaddy Pro as well. Otherwise, thank you all again, and see you next time.
Bye.